immediate speed with vibrant service, vibrant broadband internet.
We're jiving over here.
The fans.
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to be like the dancer at the...
That's what I've heard. He's got some moves.
Yeah.
He does.
We don't know if they're good moves, but they're moves.
They're moves.
They're moves.
Definitely Nathan moves.
It won't be Dan.
There we go. It's time for Vibrant You, and we're going to... I mean, we have a wealth of information in this room with that head, and that head. Man, and don't count on me for much of anything, because, I'm just a confused old guy.
Aren't we
You're
all?
doing fine.
Yeah, I had
Speak
a
for
gal.
yourself.
I had a gal ask me something the other day. Oh yeah, my daughter is buying something from her yard. It was on Facebook anyway, and she said something about Venmo, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like the name for like a variety of ice cream.
Venmo?
Oh.
That sounds
what Venmo
delicious.
is? Yeah, I mean, imagine. Oh man, that smooth, crisp Venmo. I guess that's supposedly some payment system that
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be talking
probably
about that
needs
today.
cybersecurity for.
Sure.
I definitely do.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Great
we
way
will
to-
be sharing that knowledge with you shortly.
Really?
So you won't
See?
be
Then I can
in
learn.
the dark anymore.
Yeah, because it sounded to me like something that I didn't want anything to do with, because I would be giving someone's banking information out.
Yes.
And I thought, no.
Hey, Venmo can be very useful.
Well, it sounds
each their
like
own.
it. I
Don't
mean,
knock it
We'll
till you
talk
try
about it in a minute. here.
college
Yeah.
kids use it. I guess I'm told a lot. That's what my neighbor said anyway. So.
True.
My kids just signed me up for it.
Oh, did they?
Angrily says the mother.
Yeah. She's got to get used to it too.
Oh, no, I just so my Mother's Day gift, Hannah goes, I just put $30 in your Venmo account. Gee, thanks for the...
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so...
Hey, but if in the future, they put like 100,000 in there or something, you're going to be glad you have it.
Uh-huh.
If
I wouldn't hold
your
your
kids
breath.
Oh, missed it.
Yeah.
Was as if.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. Well, so anyway, today we're going to be talking about scammers and some of the recent scams that are out here.
Sure.
And there's several methods, as you know, about scamming and how they want to trick you into action. So, Jeff, have you had any recent...
If I have, I've hung up on them or taken care of them so quick, I just recognize them as no.
Doesn't look right. Yeah.
Right? Doesn't feel right, doesn't look right.
Right.
A lot of times they're obvious. They are, with AI becoming more and more popular, they're going to become harder and harder to spot. But some of the most popular methods of scamming, people may have heard of, is phishing with a PH. So this isn't casting a line in the lake nearby. This is phishing with a PH, and that's scams via email. So usually that's like an email requiring you or requesting for you to click a link or give them information. And then there's smishing, which is for texting or SMS messaging, which is more and more popular now that everybody text these days more than email maybe. And then there's vishing, which is voice, like phone calls, audio phone calls. So those are three methods that scammers like to use in their specific terms depending on how they happen. I consistently get smishing is probably the biggest one for me, text messaging. I often get the UPS, quote unquote UPS one that says, oh, your package was delayed or is undeliverable. Click this link to find out why. I seem to get that one a lot. I probably get too much stuff delivered to my house.
So something with the bank. That was another one that I get.
Yeah. I mean, I get the ones, someone tried logging into your Netflix account. Click this link to give it to, to update your password and stuff like that. So these are all ways. I know Shane was just telling me about one. He helps run the Parade of Bands. Yeah. Vibrant helps stream the event live, and Shane helps record it and put it on Facebook and stuff like that. He got a message, supposedly from the Facebook support team that said, oh, you know what? You need to click this link and follow these instructions or your page is going to become offline. He looked into it a little bit more and realized it's not a legitimate thing, and that was, but if you weren't thinking twice about it, Parade of Bands is coming up, you want to make sure you're ready for it. You could fall victim to something like that. So we're going to go over some of the more popular scams that are happening right now. A lot of these are current, some of these scammers try to take advantage of current culture news or stuff that's going on in the world. So
yeah, and some of these you maybe haven't seen before because scammers are getting more and more sophisticated. One thing that they like to do now is a student loan forgiveness scam. Everyone, a lot of people have student loans and everyone wants to get out of them however they can, as quick as they can. So if you get something saying, hey, all we need is your personal information, maybe your social security number, and we can forgive those student loans, it sounds too good to be true, and most of the time it is.
It's all over the news right now too. It's a hot button topic.
Yeah.
Oh, government's going to forgive loans.
Yep.
Who wouldn't want to get that message saying, "Oh, you're going to forgive some of my loans"? Sure,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes you hear it on the news, but you don't know the details. So if you get an email or a text about it, you're like, you know what, I'm going to look a little bit more into it. That's not how you want to find out about it. Just go to a trusted news source before you do any clicking or give them any information. Another one is it's called a one-time passcode bot, or OTP. Now, if you get a text and it gives you a code, someone's trying to log into your Amazon account, your Netflix account, but it's not you doing it, be very wary of those, because it can actually be a bot trying to log into your account, and it's giving you an access code, and you do not want to give them the access code, because that is one way they can hack into your account. So if it's not you actually trying to log in, and if it's not been within half a minute or a minute and you're not expecting a code, be very wary of those. Definitely just ignore it. Don't do anything with it. And then another popular one is QR codes. QR codes are become more and more popular. If you go to a restaurant, a lot of times they don't even actually have a menu. They have a QR code on the table that gives you access to the menu. Super convenient, really easy to use. But if you go into the bathroom and you see a QR code, I wouldn't scan that one. So if it's not in a place that you're expecting,
You walk by a light pole.
oh
in
yeah,
town,
if it's on a
there's QR code sitting
bench,
there.
For a good time, read this QR code.
yeah, right. Yeah, curiosity is a good thing, but in this case with QR codes, I would avoid scanning anything that doesn't look official.
Right. The other thing is our impersonators. So there's a lot of people out there that want to get your money and information. And so the scamming is IRS agents. We had talked about that. They might send you a letter. They might call you and say that you owe money. The other thing is police officers. They might be scamming or impersonating a police officer. Survey takers. I know every once in a while you get some survey people asking questions about how long you've lived there and that kind of stuff. So sometimes they're not always legit as well. And then relatives. I had my aunt get a phone call. Someone was impersonating her grandson and wanted money. He was in jail and needed money, and she was
heard of
just
that one.
and so
That's
she was
scary,
like, please don't tell dad, blah blah blah. So she's like, what the heck? And so instead she just picked up the phone and called her son, and there's like, no, everything's fine, it's all good. So
Unfortunately, AI has gotten so powerful that now they can use someone's actual voice.
Your
It
grandson or
sounds-
granddaughter's
Right.
voice is like there.
It's
Because they can get that right after their
Scary.
voicemail. I mean, they can.
yeah, they get
narrate a
enough. They
voice.
get enough voice clips from somebody, and they can regenerate that and make their own.
and this
thing.
was a solid relationship. I mean, they talk weekly, so she knew his voice, and so it was, it's kind of scary. And then, basically they're wanting your social security number, and they're wanting you to hand over your bank account information. So another thing is you have a criminal record, pay your outstanding fee or whatever, and then that's when you use your debit card or whatever, and then they have access to that. I know, Nathan, you had something with that police situation we were talking about earlier.
I've had two now. I've had one for quote unquote the police force, one for the fire department, and they were very similar. I get a phone call. Sounds great. We're raising money for families of fallen police officers or firefighters that have fallen in the line of duty, and it sounds like a legitimate cause. And I think in one scenario it was a real business, and they're technically not breaking the law. What they do is they ask you to donate, and they do give us it's like 2% of the money they get, they donate, so they can kind of quote unquote get away with it. But they're pocketing like the 98%.
They didn't
I
tell
think-
you about that on the phone.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd never know that. But I think I got off the phone and kind of Googled that one, and it came up. There was a news article about it, and they're trying to shut them down. The fire department one was tricky because, again, it sounds like a great cause. Donate to a fallen, firefighter families and stuff like that. And all I did was, and this is what I recommend to anybody, even if it's something you're interested in, something that sounds good to you. I just said, could you give me the website? I can go on there, do some reading about it, make sure it's what I want to do. And the person hung up on me because it wasn't a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
So always, before someone calls you soliciting you for money, even if you're interested in it, get off the phone, do a little research, and if you do decide that's a good cause and an actual thing, make sure you do it that way.
And at Meeker Cooperative, we do get people trying to scam us as a company. They'll reach out and talk to members and say that we're going to shut their electricity off or their internet off, and please
no
pay your bill
kidding.
now.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and so then Shane will post that information on Facebook. Just know what to look for.
Yeah.
The other thing is we're a utility company, so we do ask for some confidential private information. And we, just this week I got a phone call from someone saying, hey, you were asking for this. Is this true? And do you need this from me? And I'm like, yep, you had spoken with Bo, and yep, we do need this. And, she's like, I just want to make sure it's legit. So, we
safe
definitely
and
get
sorry.
those, and it's perfect.
Yeah, you talked about Venmo earlier. So for those that aren't familiar, Venmo, a company called Zelle, Cash App, now Facebook and Snapchat. A lot of different businesses now are letting you share money and send money to friends and family members, through these online accounts. Venmo and Zelle are probably the two biggest. I mean, PayPal's been around a while. They've operated similarly, but it's very easy now. It's an app on your phone. I love it. I go to a restaurant with friends. Instead of the olden days when we all had to have cash, okay, who owes who what? I got to try to break this cash down. I just I owe $6. I'll Venmo you $6. It's pretty simple, but the more online you get, the more susceptible you can get. So there are scams trying to use people's Zelle and Venmo. You may get a message saying, oh, you know what? Your friend tried paying you money, click here to collect the money, or hey, you accidentally overpaid something and we're trying to return it to you, click this link, kind of thing. So
besides the scam, is there a downside to a Venmo or a Cash App or
Venmo? As far as I know, they don't really charge fees for the most part, unless it's considered. If you use it for business, I think there's taxes and stuff like that. Okay. I don't know.
Does it take a long time for the transaction to go?
Oh no,
the transaction's instant. I think they have a couple methods where if you want to deposit that to your bank account, I think you can do it like a 3-day window. It's free. And if you want it like immediately, you pay like a 1% fee.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's a legitimate business.
That's
they
good
make business on some of that stuff. They even sell their own debit cards. So if you have a balance in your Venmo, you can just use your Venmo debit card basically.
There you go.
It's kind of like an online bank account, but they do try to make it pretty easy to share money, which has pros and cons. And then there's employment scams. We hear about these a lot. People that are out of work for a while, or they're not happy with their job, and you see these job postings that seem too good to be true. Work from home, make a ton of money, get rich quick, stuff like that. That stuff's always popular.
Right.
You think about the Ponzi schemes and all the different,
big signing bonuses. And
correct.
Be wary of. Yeah.
Those could be real, but don't click on links and just fall for whatever you see online or whatever. And then, as I mentioned before, artificial intelligence or AI becoming more and more popular. We talked about sometimes it's easy to spot these because there's all kinds of red flags, but these are going to get harder and harder to spot. So just be always double check, and Bo will kind of give us some examples of how to avoid scams if you come across them.
Yeah, like Nathan said, they're getting harder and harder to spot. But if you take a look at a few of these details on any text message or email, it's going to help me make sure, hey, is this legit? Is this not? The biggest thing is discrepancy in the email address. If you look for an email that's from the company like Wells Fargo, Walmart, just make sure that URL or the address is legit and doesn't have errors or doesn't have some discrepancies where it has maybe a dash or a number on it. That's one thing to look at. The other is bad grammar, spelling errors. That is something that's in a lot of scam emails. They're getting better and better as they're using AI, like Nathan mentioned, but you can look and see if maybe the sentence structure is off. Maybe it's not spelling, but maybe it's just like, hey, that's not how I think a person would typically write that. And then also look at the timestamp when it's coming from. If you're getting an email for a job posting or something at like 2 a.m., it's probably not going to be legit. So
no one's up really doing that at that time.
Yeah, or they are up, but they're in another country, and that's daytime. So that's one thing. And then urgency, I always kind of like to nail on. Urgency is the biggest thing. If it's asking you to do something or take an action, that it has to be done now or else, or else your account's going to be locked or legal action will be taken. Yeah. I'd say that's the biggest thing with scams. Just make sure you watch out for those red flags. And then if they give a phone number in the email or in a text message, don't call that number. Go on the official website for the company that you are using or that it's claiming to be. And that's just one way you can stay safe in these situations.
Also checked for the legitimate sources. Lauren's home for the summer, and she's been applying for jobs and whatnot, and she ended up getting a phone call from a guy saying, hey, we'd like to hire you. And she was calling me all excited, and I was just like, okay, well, is it legit? Did he ask you for your social security number? Did he ask you for a bank account information, anything like that? And she's like, no, I don't even know if I applied for this position. And so she was telling me the company name. And so I went online and looked, and then I saw this picture of this person and then the name, and I said, is it this company and this person? And she said yes. And I said, okay, it's all good to go here. But you just never know.
Just doing your research.
Yeah.
And then, clicking on a link, hover over it before you click. Make sure that it says what it actually says in the link. That also might be
Way to check.
scam.
Yeah, you can
Exactly,
hover
yep.
over it, and it might just have a bunch of letters and numbers that has nothing to do with the website. So that's one way they can mask it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah,
I learned that too. So
that's new to me. So.
And then if you do get a phone call, like I talked about, when people call for Meeker Cooperative, instead of, just hang up the phone and call the number that call your bank, call your utility company. And then typically we're local, so you're going to know who you're talking to anyway. So
Right.
you're going to know that that's legit as well.
Yeah, because there's so many of these scams, I know a lot of companies, even if they are calling you to say, hey, your bill's past due, a lot of them have avoided now asking you to pay right then if they're calling you. So a lot of them will say, hey, your bill's past due, please contact us to make a
Right.
payment. If someone's calling you and saying, hey, make a payment with me now, that's just a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And then the infamous multi-factor authentication code. I absolutely hate it, but I love it at the same time. So basically, if you're like logging into your bank account, they ask you click on a link, and then you get your
mother's maiden name and
authentication.
Yeah.
You actually get a
Or they
code.
text you a code and you had to verify you got the
that
code
one.
or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll text a code, and you'll have to enter that information before you can even access your bank account. So
Okay. Yeah.
if you
Nothing wrong with
have
that.
this, don't click that you don't want to have it. You must.
Right.
It's there for your own protection. I know I hate it, but every time I think about removing it, I'm thinking this is why.
Yeah, that one extra couple seconds it takes can save you a big headache
We're
down
not
the road.
that busy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Speak for yourself, I'm swamped.
Yeah.
He doesn't have 5 seconds to spare.
Yeah. Well, except for when he's working on his dancing moves.
Oh, yeah.
Go Nathan. Go Nathan.
So yeah, to kind of wrap it up, scammers are going to. The big thing is they're going to play in your emotions. Bo mentioned earlier they're going to try to make it urgent. They may say, "Hey, it's a great cause. Can you help donate money?" Or, "Hey, do this now, or your account's going to be suspended, or the police are going to arrest you, or whatever." So they're going to play on your emotions. So be careful. Always slow down and take a moment to double check. If it's an email, if it's a text with a link, if someone's calling you for information or something, just pause, take a second. Nothing is so urgent that you have to do it without thinking things through. And which brings me to the event tonight. So this, radio show was a brief overview of some of the more popular scams and how to avoid them. But we are having a free event tonight at the Meeker Co-op office on Highway 12 at 5:30. It's about an hour, about 5:30 to 6:30. It's completely free. You don't have to be a Vibrant subscriber. You don't have to be a Meeker member. It's an educational only kind of event. We just want to help people. It's going to teach people, what is scams, what is hacking, what is artificial intelligence, how can it be used, how to spot it, what can you do if you do get compromised. So we've had a lot of people unfortunately fall victim to some of this stuff, and just about everybody is a potential victim because there's so much of this out there. So if you're interested, it's coming out at 5:30. We're going to have some basic chips and snacks and then non-alcoholic drinks, so stop on out. That's at 5:30 tonight.
Yeah, and if you want to catch either this episode or any previous episodes, you can go on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. You just search Vibrant Broadband, and you can also listen here live every Wednesday at 10:30 on KLFD. And if you do have questions on this or anything, just give us a call at 693-3231, or you can head to our website at vibrantbroadband.com. So we want to thank you, Woody, for having us.
Sure, absolutely.
It's always been a pleasure. And
I look forward to next week already.
yes, yeah.
Go.
And hopefully we'll see you tonight at the event. My name is Bo.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Jean.
And this has been another Vibrant U Live.
All right.
Brilliant speed with vibrant service. Vibrant broadband internet. Vibrant broadband internet.